Hey guys, welcome to Digit.in, and today we're going to talk to you about the Huawei Mate 20 Pro. Now of course this is a review video of the phone, but before we get into the detail of all the things, let me just give you the verdict. This phone's camera is one of the best available in the smartphone market today, hands down. Of course, that said, there's also a great display. The battery life is very impressive. The Kirin 980 chipset on the 7nm process was blazing fast. What was really impressive is the design. This new finish that Huawei has come up with, excellent. The super fast charging worked very well, and the face unlock along with the in-display fingerprint sensor are the fastest we've tested so far on Android smartphones. Overall, this is a very impressive smartphone with a few caveats, and now we'll get into those in detail moving forward. Let's just first talk about the camera. Now everybody knows that the highlight of the Mate 20 Pro is of course the triple camera setup that we've got, but this time you have a 27mm lens, a 16mm lens and an 80mm telephoto lens. The apertures are f2.2, 1.8 and 2.4 respectively. Now this has changed a little bit from the days of the P20 Pro where you had a monochrome sensor, but Huawei thought to drop the monochrome and give you ultra wide instead. It is genuinely a far more usable and a far more versatile shooting setup now. Huawei says that you can also use the digital crop and get up to 5x optical zoom because it combines information from the 40 megapixel sensor as well. Very impressive. Now in terms of real world usage, the raw files are fairly large, especially if you're shooting from the main sensor, the 40 megapixel sensor, but the kind of latitude you get is absolutely amazing. And the best part is you don't really need to go into a desktop version of an editing software to do it. You can do it right on the phone using Snapseed, Lightroom, whatever you want. By far, this has been one of the best camera phones to shoot with this year. Not only because of the final output of the image quality, but also because of the versatility it offers. Because here's the thing, if you want to replace a DSLR for a person like me, or for anybody for that matter, Leica's 3-lens setup giving you an ultra-wide, a wide and a telephoto, and an 80mm telephoto at that, the only one of its kind. The details are insanely crisp, as you can see in these image samples going across. So yeah, all in all, one of the best camera phones in the market right now. And not only that, extremely easy to use. Now, when you do take photos, of course, you're going to want to view them, and that's where this 2K HDR enabled display comes into picture. Now, the display itself has a peak brightness of about 700 nits roughly, and unfortunately that can change at any time depending on the software update that may be pushed out. A lot of manufacturers do this. Over a period of time, they'll issue an update that lowers the maximum brightness in order to preserve battery life. So as of now, the Huawei Mate 20 Pro's display is amazing. I'm sitting right now in bright daylight and I can see everything on the display just fine. The reflections are there, but they're not so much that they'll disturb me. The curved display is something that I'm not particularly fond of because my fat hands get in the way and they cause accidental ghost touches sometimes. But all in all, it's a very good display, especially if you want to consume content on. You want to read stuff on, and the best part is if you're lying in bed and you want to read a book, you can turn this display down all the way to just 2 nits, and that causes no stress to your eyes. Impressive once again. Let's talk about the performance of the Mate 20 Pro. This is the first phone by Huawei, in fact the first Android phone to be powered by a 7nm chipset. And that's very impressive, especially because after we saw what Apple did with its 7nm processor, it was very exciting to see what Huawei could have achieved. Now the Kirin 980 is definitely really fast in comparison to the 970. But the problem is EMUI is not all there right now with its optimizations. There are times when you can notice a little bit of a stutter during multitasking, especially when you're switching between windows of heavy apps. Which means that if you're playing PUBG and you want to switch to Asphalt 9, you will notice a very slight stutter. Maybe it's just nitpicking, but it's there. However, if you are playing PUBG, you're going to get top-notch performance. If you're playing Asphalt 9, you're not going to miss a single frame. There are no frame drops. What else do you look for in performance, right? I've been using this phone since it was launched in London, and it basically has become my daily driver, replacing the Samsung Note 9 before it, and obviously complementing the iPhone XS. For the most part, the performance on the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, the iPhone, the Note 9, they're practically indistinguishable because everything opens fast, everything loads quickly, and there is absolutely no bugs, no crashes. So the Huawei Mate 20 Pro does not have a typical fingerprint sensor. It's got an in-display fingerprint sensor. It also has face unlock. And the reason Huawei was able to implement that is because they've actually built a dot projector, a depth sensing camera, all of that into the notch that's there on the display. According to Huawei, this face unlock mechanism is as fast as that of the iPhone 10, if not faster. Now, in roughly the 2-3 weeks that I've been using this phone, so here's what happens. Every time I pick up my phone to unlock it using the fingerprint sensor, it's already unlocked. The face unlock has already done its job and unlocked the phone for me. So it was a little confusing, and I find myself tapping on the screen quite often and seeing nothing happen till I realize that it's actually already unlocked. So face unlock works really well. It's very impressive, as good as the iPhone XS. And the reason I can say that is because it's worked for me in theaters, it's worked for me in clubs, it's worked for me in pitch dark, it's worked for me even in bright light. Like when I'm trying to unlock it against the sun, it works. And that's what you need, right? From a phone, from any technology. Once it's implemented, it should work for you. So that's the face unlock part. Now the fingerprint sensor, the in-display fingerprint sensor can unlock this phone as fast as, well, I would say faster than the OnePlus 60, because we've done that comparison and found that this does it faster. However, there are a few caveats. While trying to register the fingerprint, a lot of times the sensor says, clean your finger, it's dirty, and the finger's actually not dirty. So there is a little bit of bugs in the registering part of the fingerprint sensor that will annoy you. But once that's over and done with, you can unlock this phone very quickly with both the fingerprint sensor, which is very accurate, and face unlock, which works extremely well. Now let's talk about the battery on the Huawei Mate 20 Pro. 4200 mAh, supports 40 watt fast charging. This is using Huawei's own supercharge technique. There's a bundled charger now in the box that supports 40 watt charging. And they say that in 30 minutes you can get up to 70%. But you know what's amazing? When you plug the charger in and you see the percentage count go up like this, second by second you're getting more charge in. Typically you can charge this phone all the way up to 100 in about 100 minutes, which is pretty amazing. On the PCMark 8.0 battery test, the Huawei Mate 20 Pro actually ended up giving us close to almost 10 hours of runtime. Extremely impressive. And in daily life, 1.5 days is an easy achievement by this phone. I take a lot of photos, I do a lot of social media browsing, I also end up talking to a lot of people over messaging apps, and I'm easily getting a day and a half. Now I know for a fact that if I was to put this in battery saver mode or use a dark theme, I could extend the battery life on this even further. But here's the thing, I don't really worry about the battery life on this phone because of how quickly it can charge. Even having it plugged in for 10 minutes or 15 minutes gives you enough charge to go from point A to point B. Now of course for that you will need the supercharger, which unfortunately as of now Huawei does not sell as an accessory. You only get one, which is in the box, and that also means you'll have to carry it with you everywhere, whether it's home, whether it's your workplace or friend's house, whatever it is. Second is the fast wireless charging. You get a 15 watt wireless charger. You can buy one, and we unfortunately haven't been able to test it. But there is a very unique aspect about the Huawei Mate 20 Pro. This is the world's first phone that can do reverse wireless charging. Once the feature is enabled, you put a device on top of the screen, which supports wireless charging of course, and it'll start charging. Now let's consider the design of this phone. You've got, from the front, a lot of people have said this basically looks like a bigger S9 Plus. I mean, I get why people may consider that, why may they make that mistake, but it's actually not, because the S9 and the S9 Plus have more curvier edges. Yes, it has a curved display. Everything is on the right side. There is no Bixby button. And if you look at the back, it's absolutely unique. Huawei is known for having these very interesting finishes to their phone. In India, you can get the emerald green and you can buy the twilight color. Bang in the center is the camera module, which they call the matrix design, which takes after the headlamps of a Porsche. So whatever, right? But bottom line is that it's a very, very good looking phone, and the red power button, gorgeous. So the design of this phone, honestly, it's a fairly standard design. It's IP68 rated, the SIM trays at the bottom, there are no speaker grills. It's incredible how it's able to produce such good sound despite no visible speaker grill on the phone's bottom or the top, but it does a good job. It has an IR blaster, so yay. And so this emerald green especially, it has this unique texture on the back, which, you know, when you rub your fingers against it, or rather when it's going against your skin, you can feel this little grippiness. And you know, so I mean, it's not non-slip by any means, but yes, it has a little better coefficient of friction, as one may say. It has a better texture on your hand, and it feels easier to hold than most phones with a glass back. The design of the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, honestly, I like it. A lot of people in our office have loved it. At the end of the day, the design is something that you will either like or not like, and that will be a choice made by you. So there you have it, guys. That was a review of the Huawei Mate 20 Pro. We've already given you the verdict at the very beginning, but in case you missed that, here's everything you need to know. This phone's camera is one of the best of the year for today, as of now. The performance is at the very top of what you would expect from a 7nm chipset. In terms of the user experience, it could be better, and the battery life is absolutely phenomenal, not only in terms of how long it lasts, but also how quickly it can go all the way back up. Wireless charging is a great thing to have, as is IP68 rating. The display is pretty bright. Obviously it could be brighter, but we're not complaining. And the fact that it supports HDR playback is even better. So as of now, the Huawei Mate 20 Pro for 70,000 rupees is one of the best Android flagships you can buy today.
And lastly, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to receive notifications every time we upload a new video.